His name is Michael. Those who see him never forget his striking appearance. A muscular Swede in his early 20s with piercing blue eyes, a mane of unruly hair, a bushy blonde beard. He always dresses in work clothes, befitting his job as a carpenter. He hangs around the Crescent Hotel in Eureka Springs so much that he's become something of a nuisance. A laundry maid got particularly exasperated with his antics. She had a number of rooms to clean and needed a laundry cart kept in a storeroom. She grabbed the handle to pull it out, but Michael was there and he tugged back. To and fro they went, a king of tug-of-war developing between the pair. Finally, the maid gave up, stared in the direction of her tormentor, and shouted, "Michael, let go. You know I've got a lot of work to do." He released his grip, and she quickly started on her rounds. What's a Swedish carpenter doing playing tricks on unsuspecting maids in an Arkansas hotel? The answer, it seems, is that this Michael is the playful ghost of a workman killed in 1884 during the Crescent Hotel's construction. Along with Michael, the hotel's white stone walls harbor a veritable pantheon of phantoms, including a nurse, left over from its brief tenure as a hospital, a gentleman in frock coat and top hat, who occasionally shows up for a drink at the bar, and a photograph that has floated through the air. The hotel's changing fortunes and forbidding American Gothic appearance contribute to the tales guests and employees tell of their encounters with the supernatural. Built on the crest of West Mountain between 1884 and 1886, at the then substantial sum of $300,000, the Crescent Hotel was a mecca for the thousands of Midwesterners drawn to Eureka Springs in the 19th century to soak in the city's healing waters bubbling from the earth. The hotel was designed by Isaac L. Taylor, a well-known Missouri architect best remembered for the Rialto Building, the Leggett and Myers office building and tobacco factory, all in St. Louis, and for his designs at the Louisiana Purchase Exposition of 1903. Financing came from several wealthy individuals, including Powell Clayton, Arkansas's Reconstruction governor from 1868 to 1870, and later U.S. ambassador to Mexico. Clayton formed the Eureka Improvement Company to seek investors and acquire land. Financial backers included a number of officials from the Frisco Railroad. Excursion train vacations were popular during the 1880s, and the Frisco built a spur from Seligman, Missouri to Eureka Springs to accommodate the tourists who wanted to visit the Crescent and other hotels in the area. Liveried footmen would meet guests at the railroad depot and transport them by coach up the winding hillside to the Crescent's expansive portico. Architect Taylor combined a number of styles when he designed the Crescent. Victorian French Gothic is the best description, although the numerous towers and jutting balconies make the hotel look like an out-of-place French chateau. Numerous remodelings have somewhat altered its 5-story exterior. The granite block walls are 18 inches thick, but spliced together without mortar. A massive stone fireplace still dominates the commodious lobby, and the dining room could, at one time, hold 500 persons for a single sitting. Electric lights were included in the hotel's original construction along with baths and modern plumbing. Indeed, it seems that no convenience known to the 1880s was denied the wealthy carriage-set clientele. Outside, sweeping lawns, gazebos, reached by winding boardwalks, tennis courts, and exquisitely landscaped gardens dominated the 26 acres surrounding the Crescent. The hotel flourished until just after the turn of the century, if not through profits, for they were meager, then certainly by reputation. It was among the most popular vacation retreats in the American South, frequented by the wealthy from this country and abroad. The guest book bore the signatures of dignitaries from William McKinley and Mark Hanna to Missouri's own infamous Uncle Joe Cannon. From 1902 to 1907, the Crescent was operated as a summer-only hostelry by the Frisco Railroad, which leased the property. But the gradual realization that the magic waters of Eureka Springs held no curative powers and the changing recreation patterns of America's wealthier classes led the railroad to abandon its attempt at innkeeping. The next 60 years were not altogether kind to the hotel nicknamed the Grand Old Lady of the Ozarks. Various attempts were made to keep it going year-round. In 1908, A.S. Maddox and J.H. Phillips opened the Crescent College and Conservatory for young women. It served as an exclusive academy for wealthy young ladies at a time when any college education for women was unusual. During the summer months, the Crescent continued to cater to vacationers. Unfortunately, the cost of running the aged Victorian monolith overwhelmed even the staggering tuition charged to students. The school closed in 1924. It reopened briefly from 1930 to 1934 as a junior college. By the 1920s, the automobile was transforming the Arkansas Ozarks. One estimate was that 500,000 people drove to the Ozarks for vacations in 1929. A number of individuals leased the hotel for the summer seasons after the college closed until 1937, when an Iowa-born medical charlatan, Norman Baker, turned the hotel into a hospital and health resort. Baker made his fortune by inventing the calliophone, a calliope played with air pressure instead of steam. Profits from the instrument soared into the millions of dollars by 1934. He wasn't content to settle back and enjoy his fortune. Baker fancied himself a medical expert, although he had no formal training. He claimed to have developed cures for various ailments, but believed that organized medicine was trying to keep his alleged breakthroughs off the market. He thought that his enemies were responsible for firing shots at him and throwing bombs at a radio station he started in Muscatine, Iowa. He founded the first Baker Hospital in Muscatine to honor his mother and provide a venue for his controversial treatments. He later ran for governor and U.S. Senator from Iowa and financed a Mexican radio station with a signal that reached most of North America. Baker ran afoul of the law many times with his medical beliefs, including a cure for cancer. He was convicted in Iowa in 1936 of practicing medicine without a license. The American Medical Association dismissed all of his remedies. Nevertheless, Baker purchased the Crescent Hotel and proceeded to remodel the structure at a cost estimated at $50,000. His changes included ripping out the distinctive filigree wooden handrails and balconies outside the first 3 floors and replacing them with concrete porches. He repainted the lustrous woodwork with garish shades of red, orange, black, and yellow, and installed himself in a penthouse office finished in purple hues. Baker was a paranoid. He hung machine guns on the wall of his private apartment and is said to have built secret escape passages from his hotel suite and office. Cancer patients from his Iowa clinic were eventually moved to Eureka Springs, where they received Dr. Baker's treatments, mostly the drinking of fresh spring water from the region. His patients were home folks, one large family, he was fond of saying. He boasted that no surgery was performed, nor were x-rays taken. For that, his family should have been grateful. Federal authorities eventually caught up with the good doctor. He was charged with several counts of using the mails to defraud the public with his medical claims. He was convicted in 1940 and sentenced to 4 years in Leavenworth. The hospital closed, and with it, one of the Crescent's more bizarre incarnations. The brooding old hotel, the castle in the air high atop the Ozarks, stayed shuttered until 1946 when new investors took over. After a few shaky years, the Crescent regained some of its prominence as a package vacation destination. Major remodeling has added shine to the marble and woodwork, but the years show the effects of the hotel's century of struggle. One writer called it seedily elegant. It is little wonder, then, that the place has such a reputation for being haunted. Lynn Worley probably knows as much about the Crescent Hotel as anyone. He started working there as a bellhop in the late 1970s and eventually became a manager. He has little doubt that strange and unexplained events often take place at the old resort hotel. I guess it was about my 2nd year up there, when I checked some people into the hotel. I put them in room 424. At about 11 o'clock that night, they came down to the front desk and wanted to leave. I asked them what the problem was, and they asked me if the hotel was haunted. I said I had heard rumors that it was. Well, they told me that they were in bed watching television when something walked right through the room's outside door, across the floor, and into the bathroom. We let them go, and they found a room at another hotel in town. Later on, the desk clerk there called me and said the couple had told him the story. He asked me if it was true. I said it probably was because there are a lot of strange things that go on up here. Another room in the hotel, number 218, however, has the distinction of being called the Ghost Room. Several guests have told hotel employees of encountering strange sensations and noises while staying in that room. Lynn Worley hasn't seen anything peculiar there, but he says it sometimes seemed there was somebody watching me there, especially late at night. On one occasion, Worley wanted to show the room to prospective guests. He inserted his key into the room lock and pushed the door open. It slammed shut in his face. He mumbled an apology to the startled visitors, but eventually got it open with no further trouble. A salesman staying in room 218 said he was shaken awake when he felt someone trying to push him out of the bed. A few minutes later, he heard footsteps scurrying across the floor. There doesn't appear to be any unusual history to that particular room. Worley does say there is a hotel legend that one of the wives of the myriad owners stayed in the room. At one point, she ran screaming downstairs, crying that there was blood splattered all over 218's walls. Several people rushed up there but found that all was as it should have been. The most persistent ghost sighting is that of a distinguished-looking gentleman with a mustache and beard, sometimes attired in formal evening wear. The mysterious stranger favors the elegant lobby and men's bar, an ornate room with 19th century photographs on the walls and a gleaming brass footrail encircling the bar. Worley can recall one particular episode involving the hirsute specter. During the summer, we had 2 auditors work for us because we're so busy. One of these men left the front desk to get a drink of water in the bar after it was closed. He told me he saw some guy sitting on a bar stool staring straight ahead. He didn't say anything and he didn't move. Our guy left to get his partner, who was still at the front desk. They came back and spoke to the man. They thought he was drunk. When the odd figure didn't respond, the men decided to leave him alone and return to their work. As they glanced back over their shoulders, however, the bar stool was empty. One of them started searching for the man. He looked around the lobby, which is about 25 to 30 yards across, everywhere in that area. He was even saying out loud they didn't mean any harm. They just wanted to talk. From the lobby, a stairway ascends to the top floors. The auditor who was looking around went over to the steps. The fellow at the bar was on the second floor landing, looking down at him. He went up, but as he got to the second floor, he felt something push him back down. That's when he got the manager and told him what had happened. Robert Fegans, a Kansas architect and developer and one-time owner of the Crescent Hotel, also saw what he thought was a ghost near the lobby staircase, a figure in frock coat and frilled white shirt. His black mustache stood in sharp contrast to the waxy pallor of his face. The apparition evanesced before Fegans' eyes. Fegans saw the same figure in room 218. He was awakened after midnight to find an intruder standing at the foot of his bed. He seemed to radiate a kind of light. It was a grim experience, Fegans told acquaintances. The hotel's tenure as a hospital may be responsible for another ghost. In one episode in July 1987, a lady was leaving her room when she saw a nurse pushing a gurney down the hall. The vision, nurse, gurney and all, vanished. When her story got around, she was told that numerous other people had seen the same scene reenacted. Whatever lives at the Crescent Hotel also likes to frighten folks without ever making an appearance. Early one quiet Sunday morning, desk clerk Dee Chambers looked up from her desk as the French doors on the lobby's east side swept open. A rush of cold air seemed to charge across the lobby, race along the registration desk and out the nearby doors. It left scattered papers in its wake. Chambers' puzzlement grew as she realized that the east French doors were usually locked and are located directly below the infamous room 218. An antique switchboard that has since been removed caused a considerable amount of trouble, perhaps as a result of ghostly intervention. Lynn Worley said, "In the summer we'd get phone calls on that switchboard coming from a basement recreation room. There was no one on the other end because the room was unused and locked. We would check it and find out that the phone had been taken off the hook. There was only one way in and out of the place, and the only key to the door was kept at the front desk." Worley himself checked out the recreation room one evening to make sure all was in order. "Of course, the phone was on the hook. I picked it up, dialed up the front desk, and told them it felt like somebody was in the room with me. I just wanted to get out." He locked the door, went back upstairs, but within 5 minutes the switchboard buzzer went off. indicating a call coming in from the same room he had just left. Worley declined to go back downstairs. An apparition that some believe may be Dr. Baker has been spotted in the same vicinity as the old recreation room, near the foot of the steps going to the first floor. He seems to be lost, staring first one way and then the other before he quickly fades from view. A psychic who visited the Crescent Hotel several years ago said the dining room was where everybody, meaning the ghosts, was located. Lynn Worley agrees wholeheartedly. You can walk late at night across that dining room, and it's as big as a basketball court, and get chilled. Other people would come up to me when I was night auditor and say it felt just like there was somebody else in there. The hotel's aged tabby cat, Morris, was once sought out by an unseen playmate. In December 1985, Lynn Worley and a colleague, Mike Manley, were lounging before a blazing fire in the lobby's impressive fireplace. Morris started chasing around the furniture. We were right behind him, but we couldn't see anything. He was looking up in the air, batting at something. He ran toward the dining room, so we let him in there. I don't know what it was he was chasing, but it went into the dining room. He came back out about an hour later and settled down. But a short while later, the cat got back up and resumed his playful antics. Only this time, the cat went to the front door. Whatever it was he was chasing wanted to go outside. Worley let the cat and his friend out the door. The Crescent Hotel continues to provide its paying guests with genteel accommodations in the unique surroundings of Eureka Springs, and ample opportunities to mingle with the temporal and spectral relics of yesteryear.